Hello, and welcome to Soundwaves, the official podcast of the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust. For our season finale, we're going to leave you with something that is only going to keep changing as the weeks go on, and that's the capacity everyone has to support charities. When we last talked about fundraising, the UK was in full lockdown, but as of this recording, we are starting to see some normality return. That means what people were doing a couple of months ago is different to what they're able to do now, but it most likely also means that what people can do now is different from what they'll be able to do in a couple of months' time. And charities do need your support. We've said it before and we will keep saying it. Once all of this is over, COVID-19, the pandemic, lockdown, young people are going to need the trust more than ever. We have to be here in 2021 and beyond to make sure those young people have access to what they need during their recovery. As we'll hear in this episode, there's no one way of giving the trust you're backing. We'll hear from Simon, who raised almost £2,000 from home. We'll hear from Tim, who's a Rotarian, and how he and his district will support the Trust after choosing us as one of their charities of the year. Yes, fundraising is important, but we'll hear as well how spreading the word, directing people to our website, sharing posts on social media, every little helps. So, this episode is one of two halves. First up, Simon tells us about how he's supported the Trust over the last little while, and he's joined by our fundraising manager, Lindsay. We talk about what possibilities there are for individuals to support the Trust at the moment, as well as what help we can offer to you for doing so. Hi, Lindsay. We talked a bit before on this podcast about fundraising while in the middle of lockdown. Things have kind of changed since then, but still haven't gotten back to normal completely. Have you
Mm.
seen a change in the kinds of activities and events people are taking part in or are being able to host?
Yes, absolutely. So I think last time we spoke, it was pretty much at a standstill. So all charities across the UK, sadly, we're seeing lots of events put on hold or postponed or cancelled. Over the last few months, things have obviously been changing daily and weekly. But I think in terms of fundraising, it's really nice to see in the last few weeks at least, people, starting to think about doing things within their family unit, getting out and enjoying the outside. So setting themselves some personal challenges. So obviously organised events still aren't happening, but people are taking it upon themselves to pick a distance and do their own kind of event. So yeah, people are being really flexible and kind of taking it in their own hands. Obviously being very respectful of social distancing and keeping themselves safe. And from our point of view, we're following very strict guidelines. So the Institute of Fundraising and the Fundraising Regulator have released some really helpful guidelines for all charities to advise their fundraisers on. So it's really great to know there's this guidance out there to keep everyone safe, and it's nice to see that people are following this and coming up with some really nice ideas that are possible at this time.
So, what are the challenges people are facing when it comes to showing this kind of support? Is it looking for new kinds of ideas? Is it finding ways to get other people involved? Or is it just a mixture of finding ways that makes fundraising still enjoyable?
Yeah, it's a mix really. I think part of fundraising I always think is people do it to have fun, to set themselves a challenge, to take part in something they've never done before, or possibly to fundraise with other people. So I guess at the moment the main challenge I think potentially is motivation. People not necessarily having an event to aim for, so set dates, so things like the marathon. If that's kind of changing, it's quite hard for people to potentially stay motivated. And doing fundraising potentially in smaller groups or by themselves, that might be different to how people normally do things. So they might usually join a running group to do a running event, for instance, or used to doing things in their sort of local schools or community centres. So I think now people are just having to just be flexible, and I think do something different than they've normally done before. So I think it's just forcing people to think outside the box a little bit, and just do what works for them at the moment, and maybe put those other ideas they had on hold, so put them forward to next year. Just be flexible really. I think that's the way to get around some of these challenges.
And if I could just bring you in, Simon, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's probably best to just let you tell us what your recent fundraising venture was and why it was you decided to support the Trust.
Yes, certainly, Scott. Hi, everyone. I took part in a challenge that I set myself to cycle from my front door in London, in the UK, all the way over to Greece, to a place called Civita. And it came about, I've been really impressed with some of the challenges I'd seen people undertake off the back of, I think it was the 2.6 challenge around the time of the London Marathon. There have been several challenges that I'd seen that sort of inspired me that I should do something and take part in a challenge myself. And I was sort of racking my brains. I guess it sort of echoes a bit what Lindsay was saying, trying to challenge myself, but also trying to think of something a bit different. I couldn't go take part in an organized event. You're limited in some, that was right in the middle of lockdown, so quite limited in what you can do. So virtual challenge seemed like the best thing to do. And I decided that I would cycle, as I say, from London to Greece. I was due to be going on holiday. At the time I was thinking of taking on the challenge was about 9 weeks away. So I did a quick bit of maths, looked at the distance, which was about 1,758 miles, there or thereabouts, did some maths, and it worked out at about 28 miles a day that I'd need to cycle for 63 days. I then ummed and ahed about whether, was that a big enough of a challenge to ask people to donate to, or was it, and I decided it probably was. 28 miles a day doesn't sound too much, but I think it was more the fact it was going to be for 63 straight days. And then it was a no-brainer. This all came about because I really wanted to support the Trust. I was fortunate enough to work with the Trust back in 2009 on the original Round Britain voyage, and kept in close contact with Frank and others. And I could see that obviously this was a really challenging time for charities. And so I wanted to do my bit, however big or small it might be, to help support the Trust.
I think one of the things that might be making people nervous at this time is that worry that people might not be as keen or as able to show support. Did you find it was harder to get people excited about your cycle, or was that backing still there as always?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I struggled when it came to, so I filled out my Just Giving page and it said, what do you want your target to be? And I really struggled at that point because I was really aware that some people had lost their jobs, some people had been furloughed, others had taken pay cuts. People were dealing with a really, quite an extraordinary situation we were in. So on one part, I felt almost guilty to say, hey, I'm doing this challenge. Could you could you donate towards it for me? And I decided that I would try, and obviously I wanted to raise money, and those that would hopefully donate towards it. But I was really conscious to say that, this is my Just Giving page, but by no means do I expect anyone to donate. If you can't, just, thank you very much for all the support. And it was great. I got lots of fabulous messages from people. And I tried to, I was also conscious that it was quite a lengthy, it was 9 weeks. So how do you keep people interested in something you're doing for 9 weeks without badgering on about going on a bike ride every day? So I sort of set myself to do periodic updates and use that as a way of sort of telling people a bit about what I was doing. But I also decided it was a good opportunity to try and raise awareness of the Trust and what the Trust does. So I was trying to link to videos on YouTube, to the Trust page, etc., just to try and tell people a bit more about why I was doing this. And I was amazed at the amount of support I got, to be honest. I originally set my target at £1,000, and then up that to 1,500, and in the end was able to raise just over 1,800 pounds, but also managed to get, hopefully spread the word a bit further about the Trust and the fantastic work that you guys all do.
I just think, first of all, thank you so much, Simon. It was such a pleasure to see your updates and sort of see you even raise your target as you're going along. That's amazing. And I think, I'm with you there. I think at this time it's really hard with everything going on. It's tricky to know how much to publish something or how much to push it at this time. But I think even sharing awareness, that's just as valuable. I think people, just even looking at our page, engaging with our social media, engaging with your posts, it's such a nice thing to be able to do. And I think if you can't support financially, I'm sure you would have found people passing on your link to other people, sharing your posts, getting involved in our site. So I just think it's a really nice thing to be able to do. And I think at the moment people are really looking to do what they can to help, because it's been such a hard time. And I think lots of sort of communities have come together and people are looking for nice things and things that they're passionate about, get involved in. So just on behalf of everyone, just thank you so much, because it's so nice to see you sharing what we're up to at the moment as well. It really means a lot.
No problem at all.
So I think it was interesting there what Lindsay was saying about the idea that support for the trust isn't just, financial, but it's also raising awareness. And when you say, it's a long project, you're doing the cycling project, when it comes to, sharing links and sharing videos and sharing YouTube links and all that kind of thing, was that premeditated, or were you coming up with that as your activity went on?
Um, I think I decided that I wanted to try and combine the sort of the awareness piece with the challenge. But some of it, yeah, to say that I had put together a comms plan and planned out each week and what I was going to share would be far from the truth. It was often emailing Lindsay and Christina and asking them, oh, well, anything you think I should share, or any great links you could send my way, and obviously having a look on the site and keeping an eye on your own social media pages on things to share. But I mean, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much out there to share. You do a great job as a team of raising awareness of the work that you do. That it was a really easy job to do that.
It says something about how unpredictable everything is at the moment, that you did this activity last month and yet now you could probably have done it a different way, or you might have had more options available to you. Would you have done it any differently given a choice other than actually going on the holiday?
Well, yeah, yes, I would. Yes, going on the holiday would have definitely been. I had this grand plan in the back of my mind that I was going to do the last couple of miles cycling up to the resort itself, etc. But yeah, never quite happens. But there's always another opportunity to do that, I'm sure. I think one thing, looking back on it, something I'd probably look at doing is actually shortening the time frame. So I did it in 9 weeks, which made the day-to-day cycling perhaps a little bit easier, but yeah, puts a bit more of a strain. I have a brilliant wife who supported me on this in terms of, quite often I was fitting in rides around bath and bedtime for our young children and things like that. So perhaps shortening the time frame so there wasn't quite so much of a strain on everything else over that period. I'd also probably like to try and get out and do more outdoor rides. So I did a mixture of indoor and outdoor rides. So I'd like to try and do a bit more on doing outdoor rides. And also towards the end, once things were easing a bit, I was able to do some rides with my young son, with my dad, and with a couple of friends to finish things off. And I really, really enjoyed those, and that really helped. So yeah, I'd like to think that if I was doing something now, I would look to do some rides with other people. So it's not just me on my own the whole time.
Yeah, Lindsay, what are your thoughts on that? The idea we can look at the same kind of event, but just look at doing it in different ways based on what's acceptable at the time, either through government rules surrounding the pandemic or guidance from the Institute of Fundraising. And, what kind of support are we able to offer?
So I think what everyone, I would love for people to speak to us as much as possible, sort of at any time of the year, at any time they're doing these fundraising activities, because we'd love to hear about them and see what we can do to help. But I think now at the moment, more than ever, I just would encourage people to speak with us, get our advice, see if we can come up with any ideas, let them know what other people are doing, let them know if anyone else is doing the same kind of events, so people could, not necessarily do it together, but, link in, communicate with each other, keep each other kind of motivated. And I just think remain flexible. I think that's what everyone is obviously doing at the moment. And I just think as long as you're keeping yourself safe and following the guidelines, anything you can come up with within that remit is, it'll be something different than, you've ever done before. And I think people really get behind the fact that you're trying to think outside the box and, see what you can make work at this very difficult time. Where we just encourage people to chat to us, be flexible, and just innovate, think about different things they can do. If they're doing potentially a sporting event, is there anything they could do in terms of doing online raffles or getting any other kind of support towards their events? So it doesn't necessarily have to be just the one type of fundraising. I think if people want to do online quizzes or anything to kind of add to their total or get people engaged, I just would encourage people to see what other things they can add in, really, just to kind of mix things up and make the event maybe a bit bigger than they would have planned normally, just to make the most of people wanting to support them at this time.
Now we're going to pass over to Tim, who's the District Governor of the Heart of England Rotary District, and he's joined by Christina, the Trust's community and individuals fundraiser. This second half is about what groups, communities, collectives can do during this time. Hi, Christina. With Lindsay and Simon, we talked about how individuals can navigate this strange time when we're all in while still managing to fundraise. What are we seeing when it comes to groups and collectives? Are they adapting their approaches? Are they still managing to hold events?
So I think in terms of groups, initially, the very first thing that happened, understandably, was that a lot of groups just kind of switched off and kind of tuned out for the time being, understandably because of what was going on. But a lot of groups have moved their meetings online. They've moved into the virtual world, which is fantastic. And actually, there's a lot of benefits to doing it that way because it means that people can communicate with each other without even being on the same side of the country. There's a lot of opportunities there. And I think the more that we explore it, the more that different groups are starting to realise what they can achieve. So it's really quite exciting from a fundraising point of view.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for coming along and chatting to us. You're the District Governor of the Heart of England Rotary District. I think before we chat about the fundraising side of things, can you give a brief wee overview of what that means for those who don't know?
Yes, most certainly. Rotary is an international and UK-based organisation, been around since the early 1900s. Basically, Rotary, from our point of view, in the heart of England, I look after 60 clubs, over 1,500 members, and we support the local communities, other charities, and set up, run, and help with other projects locally as well as internationally. And obviously, this may be financially, but also a lot of Rotarians give up a tremendous amount of hours to help all of these projects without being paid or claiming any expenses or whatever.
You've made the Trust one of the 2 charities of the year, is that right?
Yeah, most certainly have. We're looking around to support what we call a local charity. That's a UK-based charity. And I was introduced to David, who is one of your trustees, etc. And he overwhelmed me about what your charity does, the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust. And from that point on, I was just sold. And I've spoken to all the members that we have in my district, and we all agreed that this is the charity we will support, along with others, but this is the main charity for the year that we will be supporting. And we're already up and running with money coming in. So I'm really pleased, especially with today's climate.
That is amazing. And when it comes to that fundraising, you're sort of looking ahead to the next year of the Rotary District. What kind of things are you taking into consideration?
Well, with fundraising, obviously, like probably many other charities, we're having to look differently and think differently. We've already had to cancel some of our fundraising events, but we've put other fundraising events on with the help of Zoom and webinars. We now do online bingo and quizzes and horse racing, all sorts of things. So we're adapting to still get money raised. Obviously, we're looking forward to Christmas because that's one of our biggest months that we collect a lot of money during December with the Santa sleighs and that sort of thing. But Rotarians are really good at adapting. And as I say, we've already got money coming in for the support of the charity. So I'm really pleased with it.
And yeah, are you finding that support from people is still there, that people do still want these events and they do still want to donate money, even though things are a little bit less ordinary right now?
Yeah, I do really. And I think Rotary's in a sort of good position, really, from the point of view that a lot of people that know about Rotary recognise that the majority of the money we collect goes back into their local areas, along with like Ellen MacArthur Trust that we're going to support. So from the point of view of normal day-to-day public donating, we still get those donations coming in. We're having to work harder for them at the moment because of the current situation, but they are still coming in. And I'm really pleased, I have to say, that with the support we're getting from across the area.
Christina, if someone's in Tim's position, they're able to affiliate a group with the Trust. What advice do you have for them? What kind of support can we offer?
Well, there's loads of things that we can put in place, and we've got collateral stuff that we can send out, branded things. So for example, people who are doing virtual fundraising events, we can give you advice on how to set up fundraising pages via Just Giving or Virgin Money Giving, depending on what people are most confident using. And we can send over links to videos which are on the Trust YouTube page, which are fantastic, and they give people who will be supporting the fundraisers a real idea and a real kind of sense of what it is that we do as a charity. And I think having the branded things available to them as well is fantastic, because it gets that kind of community and family feel to the fundraising. And then that support goes on kind of from the start of their journey right the way through to the finish. And I suppose I think of myself as a bit of a mini cheerleading squad. So I'm very much, at the end of the phone or at the end of email, and any supportive advice that people need. That's my role. That's what I'm here to offer. So yeah, there's loads of stuff, and I would also like to echo as well what Tim just said about, like, at the moment it is true you do need to work just that little bit harder, but I think for me, I think that makes it more rewarding. And one of the things that I've really, really enjoyed, and I've been surprised that I've got quite a sense of enjoyment out of during the lockdown period, just seeing how creative people can be with the ways that they're adapting the things that they're doing. So yeah, I think people are doing a fantastic job, and we will continue to support them in any way that we possibly can.
And that's it for this week. Thank you so much to Simon and Tim, Lindsay and Christina for joining us, and to you two for listening in. That's also a wrap on season 2, so thank you so much for joining us for these wee chats over the last 6 episodes. I really hope you've enjoyed them. Our virtual summer rolls on, and there are still new events coming your way. In particular, this week sees the launch of our new online get-togethers for parents. It's a chance to ask questions and get more information about the Trust, and there will be staff, skippers and volunteers all there to help out, as well as just give you a chance to meet the team. I've met them, they're lovely, I promise. Soundwaves will return after a short break. I'm already looking forward to it, and I hope you'll join me again for more tales from the Trust. Until then, be very well indeed, and I wish you all the best.